Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We know you are here because you're a high-performing advisor, and the marketing and sales gap is killing your growth. So we're going to dive into 7 ways to fix it. If you're not familiar, my name is Andre Henson. I'm an advisor growth specialist with C2P. I would invite you to connect with me on LinkedIn if you haven't already. I post the stories, anecdotes, and hurdles that everyday advisors are speaking about now so that you can get ahead of the curve. If you're not already a member or you're not familiar with C2P, what we do is train, grow, and support holistic financial advisors. We do that through our full service RIA platform, as well as our proprietary Rainmaker curriculum. And the Rainmaker curriculum is our proven approach to growth. It's in 3 stages. First, by implementing a scalable approach to holistic financial planning, is the bucket plan. You may have heard of this. Next, by attracting and winning quality clients through world-class tax management, is the tax trilogy. And then by developing the next generation of your firm, giving you the freedom to leverage your time, is our teamwork movement program. In fact, we even offer a marketing agency to help wealth managers reach their goals. It's full service and can include everything from marketing planning, social media, SEO, website best practices, lead generation, and much more. But a little more housekeeping, and then we will get started. Feel free to put any questions that you may have in the chat. If we cannot address them during our call today, you can expect an answer from myself or from my team via email. And then to see if your business qualifies for enrollment into our Rainmaker curriculum and to learn more about our marketing agency, here's a direct link to my calendar to set up a time that works best for you. Go to c2pe.info/gap. And if you book a call, we will also send you 3 exclusive deliverables. These are big for our team: the event planner checklist, the marketing and sales tracker, and our updated 11 digital marketing tips guide. More on those in a little bit. So let's get started for today. That's why you're all here. We're going to be hearing from Matt Seitz and Cary Chaitoff. Matt Seitz is the Chief Marketing Officer at C2P and JL Smith Holistic Wealth Management. He has helped advisory firms like yours spearhead digital growth and implement strategies that drive lead through streamlined marketing sales funnels. So for his efforts, Matt was recognized this year by Financial Narrative as one of the top 50 financial services marketing and communications professionals. Cary Chaitoff is the Vice President of Marketing at C2P, and he leads our in-house full-service marketing agency. Cary himself has over 30 years of marketing experience, and he works primarily in regulated industries with local agents, franchisees, and advisors to achieve their marketing objectives. That's enough for me. I promised I would get through my piece and then be quiet. So take it away, Matt and Cary.
Thank you very much, Andre. Glad to be here today. And thanks to all of you for tuning in. We're very excited about today's session. Really, Cary and I hope that you're leaving here with a couple ideas that you can put into place right away to help move the needle at your office. And as he kind of alluded to in the opening, we're sharing tips and best practices that we follow in our model office, JL Smith, that have helped us bring in over 160 million in new assets last year at that office. So we hope that you're able to take some of this back and start chipping away to get at or beat where we're at as a collective here. And, really wanted to start on this slide, the business development plus marketing equals growth. Cary and I are fortunate. We both attended the Jolt conference, the Snappy Kraken conference recently. And then I went from there to Edge. And there was really a theme that came out of those of you really want to expedite your growth. You need to go from being reactive to being proactive with your marketing and business development efforts. So the days are gone. You can't sit back and just wait for referrals. The offices have to have a coordinated effort to see that exponential growth between your marketing and business development efforts. And, Cary and I look back too, that there's a stat, it's probably a few years old now, but I believe it was through Broadridge that said only about a quarter of advisors, I think it was 23% of advisors, have a documented marketing plan. And you know what they say, you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And we want to help you avoid that. And hopefully today are your first steps towards that. Because we all know too that when you don't have a plan, especially when it comes to the marketing and business development efforts, you get this. And we've all seen this meme, and I think it's extremely applicable in this sense too, especially when you have leadership, your sales or business development and your marketing kind of all pointing the finger. And if we're not hitting the numbers, of course, when you're hitting the numbers, everyone's sitting back and is happy. But when you're not, there's a lot of finger pointing amongst them, and we want to help you avoid that. And we come back to this one, which we all hear. And in this industry, it's especially important and key to keep an eye on. Know, like, and trust. People want to do business they know, like, and trust. And it's so applicable in the sense of today's presentation because given today that so many people, and there's all kinds of numbers, I think Cary's going to share some later, that are doing their research up front. They want to know everything about the topic and the providers that they're looking into, especially for the financial advisor. They're trusting their wealth, their legacy to, their retirement freedom. They're trusting you. They want to find that up front. And so that thought leadership that you're putting out there through your marketing efforts help you get known, and they help build that like and trust before you've even had an interaction with them. And so you need to make sure that you have a solid marketing and thought leadership plan that can get you halfway there. And in this case, more than halfway there with some of those details that Cary's going to share. And then you couple that with the business development side. And that's where you're able to really develop that rapport and start to build, especially that trust effort where you get to know them more on a personal level than just the transactional business level. So when you marry those two, it gets the know, like, trust, and it builds that rapport to help speed up your sales cycle. So speaking of that sales cycle, we see this number all the time, the 6 to 8 touch points, kind of that benchmark average of how many touch points until someone's willing to take a meeting. I will tell you from the meeting I sat in at Edge, which was a lot of the marketing professionals in this industry, we kind of guesstimate that number is probably more like 11 to 15 touch points, especially with all that research people are doing up front. And so the conscious effort needs to be made on our side as the advisors or the marketers in this industry. How do we shorten that? How do we develop that relationship with those thinking about working with us and using our services and investing in us? All of that is through marrying your marketing and your business development efforts. So tie these two together. You know, of course, and Cary, you say this all the time of, you know, no one goes on a first date and then gets engaged and gets married after that. You need to nurture that relationship. I mean, all of you on today's presentation probably have that story where you've had a nurture campaign that has gone out and you've met someone, maybe they came to a workshop or was a referral, and then you didn't hear back from them, but they stayed on your list or they got your nurtures. And then a year, 2 years, 3 years later, that person resurfaces and they finally had that seminal moment where they said, hey, now is the time I need to speak with an advisor. We just had that recently. Someone that reached out, they had actually clicked on an email that was 3 years old. They had saved that and said, hey, now was the time. And they reached out after 3 years and moved forward with us. So these are the things to keep in mind as you're going through today's presentation, are what are those things that you're doing or you're looking to do, and that's why you're here, to marry those marketing and business development efforts. And hopefully some of these tidbits that Cary's going to share are going to help along the way.
Great. Thanks, Matt. As we really talk about the marketing tactics and your point about 6 to 8 touches, put together a slide that talks about all of the different touches that you may be considering as a financial advisor. I think about these really from starting where a prospect doesn't know you at all the way to how do a prospect that is already doing business with you, such as a client, and how do they promote? So when you look at this slide, there's many tactics. And first I want to start by saying, don't try all of these. Hone in on what you're comfortable. If you're comfortable doing videos, if you're comfortable writing, if you're comfortable sending emails, whatever fits your style, that's what you should focus on. These tactics really range from to those that are unknown all the way down to promote. And they also integrate, as Matt is going to talk about, integration between marketing, sales, and even service. So he's mentioned that earlier with kind of that Spider-Man visual, but all of these groups have to be working together. So if you look closely at some of these different tactics, some of them are a little bit more engaging than others. And what I mean by that, if you're familiar with the bucket plan approach that J.L. Smith and C2P promote and talk about quite a bit. So as you can see on this slide, we've really broken out individual tactics by now, soon, and later. The now bucket are people that have a higher level of engagement, which means they are attending a specific event. They're attending a webinar. Versus soon, it's a little bit less of an engagement. They may be looking at downloading a guide, again, a little bit less time commitment. And then all the way down to later, they may be just looking at emails. So mix your marketing funnel with different tactics that belong in the now, soon, and later bucket. Think about it how you plan for your clients' portfolios. On our next slide, we'll talk about some of the business development activities. There's quite a few here, and our time is limited today. So we're just going to pick a few of those, and certainly we'd love to have individual conversations with you if you want to kind of learn more about these. It's really important that business development and marketing work together. So marketing is going to drive qualified leads. And we'll talk about marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads in just a moment. But the important thing is that if you've got a cute dog, then have a cute little smile. In this particular case, it kind of is an extreme example of how this cute dog has more ferocious teeth and not something you would expect. And that's what happens when business development and marketing really don't align nicely because they're kind of growling and barking at each other. Kind of think about it in a more positive way, peanut butter and jelly going together. So Matt, why don't you talk about not only the leads, but how you bridge the gap between marketing qualified lead and what that means in a sales qualified lead.
Thank you, Cary. And thank you for sharing why you didn't like my peanut butter and jelly slide and replaced it with your dog picture.
I like it more and more as I've talked through this slide.
That's right. That's right. You talked yourself into it. So before we get into those business development activities, we thought it would be helpful, and it's been beneficial to a lot of the current advisors we're working with to quickly go through the data side and the list side of how we get in there and what groups you can be targeting with your marketing business development efforts. The first, looking at the difference between marketing qualified leads and sales qualified leads. So a lot of you, if you have those lead generation efforts coming in, you're just really looking at those marketing qualified leads that come in and meet your bare minimum requirements. But that is different than if you're looking at the sales qualified leads, those that you've had that discussion with and you know there's that extra level propensity to actually move forward in your sales process. That helps really as we're moving along in the business development effort, so you can focus your attention on those that are more likely to turn into a sale and end up working with your firm. Now, where does that fit in? So here, kind of at a high level of what your pipeline might look like here. So you get the leads coming in, you do the initial triage from a marketing standpoint, and then following the bucket plan process, you're doing the right fit call. Is there a fit on both sides? If they are qualified, that becomes a sales qualified lead, and then they move through our bucket plan process, discovery to design to deliver. Well, the one step that we're missing in there is called what we call QNI, and that stands for qualified not interested. And why this step is so important, these are those that come and they are a sales qualified lead. They meet your requirements to work together, but they have said, I'm just not ready. Now's not the time. I need a little extra convincing, or I need to answer XYZ questions before I move forward and I'm comfortable taking that first meeting. This is the best group to nurture because you've already paid for these leads and you've already qualified them. So instead of going hunting after a new group or trying to nurture those that haven't raised their hand yet, think about how you can double down on this list and make it more likely that they're able to work with you. And really this comes into these business development activities that we've mentioned, and Cary's going to start going through in a second here, because that's your opportunity to connect with them on a personal side, make it less transactional, get to know them, see how you can relate to them. And you can gather a lot of this data during the marketing forms and things you're gathering there, so that now when you're nurturing them on the business development side, you have a little more background on each of those. And then, of course, we have the lead source and the booking source. Now, again, some of you might be trying this. If you're not, this is a big opportunity because this is where you can step in and look at the tracking and the ROI of those efforts. A lot of groups, they like to separate these, the marketing activities, the business development activities, and that's fine as long as they're working together. This is that opportunity to see how they integrate and what's the ROI on each. You might find that something like we found here, ebooks, running low-cost ads on Facebook can be a great lead source. You're getting those leads at $7 to $10 per lead coming in, but no one's going to, not many, I should say, are going to download an ebook and then say, yes, I'm going to hire you as my financial advisor. You have to nurture them through other activities, be it marketing or business development. And then there might be an activity later on that is their booking source. What eventually got them to say, yes, I'm ready to take that meeting? And what we're finding a lot of times is that lead source, those low cost options, you can marry them with your business development efforts, the small group, the client events that we're going to get into in a little bit here. to help maximize your spend and your ROI instead of just dumping all of it in one bucket, as Cary mentioned earlier. Now, one way to quickly track that, we've made this available to our C2P audience before. We call it our marketing and sales tracker. This is an easy way if you either don't have a CRM or you're not in love with your CRM or you're using it and you want to find a way to fine tune it. We've actually done that at JL Smith. We've kind of shifted to this tool for a while and then used it to rebuild and retool our CRM. But this is a great way to measure those marketing campaigns at that level and then take the leads from those and move those to the other tab to track them along. This is something we are going to make available to all of you. If you want to book a call, you can go ahead and do that now in the chat. Otherwise, we're going to make that link available at the end. But we do want to make this tool available to you to help amplify your efforts on this side.
Great information, great way to track. And certainly we're going to talk about some business development / marketing activities. And it's really important that you understand where the source is coming from and what's most effective for you. So with all of these that we're going to talk about, we'll give you tips, but it's important to understand not just how many leads you generated, but how many qualified marketing leads, how many sales, how many right fit calls, how many business, and eventually the type of revenue that you generate from each. So just thinking how many leads I generated is only a small portion of what we're talking about today. So the first one I want to talk about, which is really money underneath your nose, you can kind of smell it, but you can't grab it. I want to challenge all of you to assess your books and your current prospects. Many of you call your larger clients, tier A. It might be some type of gemstone, maybe another metric, a different tier. But I want to challenge that thinking. I want you to understand what is your share of wallet. So just because you have 1 million, 2 million, or 5 million of clients' portfolio, that doesn't mean you necessarily have 100%. In fact, a recent survey from Investopedia that I came across, the average wallet share for those millionaires are around 55% of a client's total investable assets. So studies says that you, on the average, for your larger clients, only have 55% of their share of wallet. Now, wouldn't it be the easiest to go hunting with people that presumably already have trusted you with a portion of their dollars and already know you versus trying to develop a brand new relationships? Households with over $5 million often span 4+ providers. Their share of wallet with primary advisors are low, and second and third firms capture 20 to 25% and then less than 10. So where do you fit on the hierarchy? So I want you to all think about your books and not just who can they refer you to, but what percentage of their allocation, their portfolio is with you and your firm. So certainly the next, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, Cary, to kind of illustrate that point too, at JL Smith, I mean, we track all of that within our CRM. So we have like the gemstone category that we follow here of what level each client is at, but then we have the potential level. So they might be a diamond client, but a blue diamond potential. And that way you're able to track that. That helps with a lot of these other efforts that we're going to share on the business development side. So when you're figuring out how to communicate them, which events to invite them to, you're tracking both their current and potential level.
Exactly. So let's presume that you've done a great job of mining your book for existing opportunities. Now I want to challenge you to mine your book for referrals. So that is, often people say, well, that's where my book has grown. The interesting part is that in a recent study that I came across in Barron's, only 10.7% of advisors actually ask clients for referrals, even though 70% of millionaire clients are likely to refer their primary advisor. So oftentimes, almost everybody that I run into from an advisor standpoint, they say, I often ask for referrals. I want to challenge that, and I want you to be very direct. But I also want you to be direct on asking only those clients that you have a really good relationship with. We won't get into net promoter score on this call, but basically you should know who your biggest fans are, who are raving fans of your firm. And those are the people you want to ask for referrals. Referrals, you never know when they're going to come back. And I want you to be very explicit. I don't want you just putting that in the bottom of your electronic email signature and saying, if you're happy with us, please refer others, because generally those aren't all that effective. The next group that we'll talk about is center of influence, often known as COI. There's lots of ways you can kind of look at how you want to approach this. You can start with kind of categories. You can think about all of your bankers that you may do business with, people that if you don't write insurance inside your house, maybe attorneys, maybe if you're not doing full estate plans, who are your center of influence? Now, the important thing is when you approach each and every one of them, you approach with your unique positioning. So if you think about your estate lawyer that you may pull in from occasion if you don't have one on staff, they probably work with many, many financial advisors. So the question I have for you is what makes you different? And first, it has to start with, are you giving them business, right? This has to be a mutual value relationship. It's value added. So they need to be thinking of who provides me with lots of referrals and who can I give one back to? And you need to make sure that they are targeting the same niche and same prospects that you have. Now, many estate planners may be more comfortable working with women in transition. They may have other niches. Does that align with your business or not? So that's what you really need to focus on. Again, so far we're kind of just expanding your immediate circle. Your existing clients, you're getting us for referrals, and now COIs. All of these folks you already know, and you should have good relationships with each and every one of them.
Yeah, and Cary, I know we've got, I guess, a handful of tips, on this one, but I want to start with a couple of these too, because, or reinforce these, is I hear some of these objections a lot from the advisors that we work with of, hey, I don't have a COI network yet. Where do I start with this? And the natural tendency is just to go to like, oh, let me think through the people I know. Well, that's a dangerous hole to go through. Where you want to fit in for your network is where do you have overlap? Start with the categories. Do you have an attorney in your network here? Do you have a CPA? We've actually an HR director, a chief HR officer, getting them with companies or larger businesses, business owners networks. And really, we're finding a lot in like the 55 plus communities, finding a director or a lead in any of those communities to help with this, because that's where you're going to get that overlap and you're going to have that synergistic relationship that you get into here of, how do you make it beneficial to both audiences? And the third point there, going first, providing value. Yes, you want to be able to make referrals both ways, but a lot of times be the one that provides that initial value. That doesn't mean you necessarily have to make the first referral. It could be whatever kind of value they've communicated in that first meeting. Hey, I'd really love it if we had more information on blank. Hey, we actually have a recent podcast. Let me get that over to you. Hey, we have an event coming up. Maybe you can extend this invite to your audience or invite them to participate in something. So, you really want to treat your COI network like your top tier. If you have those gemstones, whatever your top tier client is, that's how you want to be treating your COIs, if not better, because they could become an extension of your team, and that's really how you should be looking at them. With that kind of a toolkit, we just share this as like another, I guess, value add tip for this one, but make sure that there's a giveaway for that audience, or a takeaway, I should say, of more information on you. Now, you don't want to overload them. You don't want to give them a folder that's got 30 handouts in it, and they're going to take that back. They're never going to look at it. But what information can you hand out that is an easy reference point for them? So when they get a client or prospect or someone in their network that says, hey, do you know someone that does boom, boom, boom? They can refer back to this, and it's very easy for them to be able to go back and reference that. So if you don't already have that, think about putting together your little toolkit in a sense on that side. Small group events. So this is one that we have really doubled down with, especially in the last couple of years at JL Smith. We put some of the examples of those events here. Many of you might be doing these already too. What we have found is kind of the differentiator here. Have a documented process. It's very easy for things to slip through the cracks if you're not following that documented process on your event side. And that's from the pre-planning to all the little things. It's very easy to plan an event and do like the high end. Hey, we got our tickets, we got the invites out there, but what are the takeaways? Do you have people assigned to each prospect or client that's coming to make sure you nurture them? Who's handling the follow-up and when? Do they have a script? So making sure that you have all of those documented to help make this easier. And as we mentioned earlier, when you're trying to fill these as your tip, start with that Q&I list, the qualified not interested. This is a great opportunity for you to be reaching out and engaging that audience, invite them to meet other prospects, and pepper in the current clients. Invite your red diamond, blue diamond, or whatever your top gemstone. Get them mingling in there. Let them talk about you where you don't have to sell it. Let them sell you. And a lot of times at these events, we're not even trying to talk business. You're just trying to get to know them on a personal level, where after their event, they're saying, hey, when can I schedule some additional time with you? I'd love to ask questions about that. And, recently we've got people that are coming. We mentioned all those touch points. We get people that are coming to 2, 3, 4 events. And then they're saying, hey, can I bring someone to this next event? They're asking before we even have to ask for a referral. So this is a great way to kind of extend your efforts and turn your current clients and even some of your current prospects into an extension of your sales team. So when you're trying to do that, I mentioned having everything documented. Probably saw this coming, but we are happy to share our event planning checklist. So everything from, hey, what's the budget? What's our goal? How far are we doing this? How are we handling registrations? To all the tactical items to make sure that you're throwing a killer event there. We want to make this available to you. So go ahead. If you are booking a call, we are going to make sure that you get a copy of this to help expedite your event results as well.
Man, I can take this next one if you like.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we talked about really understanding share of wallet and asking for referrals, which I talked about earlier, and COIs. One of the lowest and easiest things that you can do as a takeaway is follow all of your clients, your prospects, and COI on social media. And I'd start with LinkedIn. It's the most professional. People are most comfortable accepting that. There's several reasons. First of all, you want to build your own followers, subscribers, and engage when you post content. But more importantly, or just as importantly, isn't it important that you understand milestones in each of these people's lives? Maybe they celebrated an anniversary. Maybe they changed jobs. Interesting enough, some of your clients will certainly contact you as soon as they change a job, and others may not contact you. And isn't there a great opportunity for a rollover, an IRA, kind of talk about stock distributions, et cetera, et cetera. So it also, you're going to be able to understand more about their personal lives. What are they posting? So did their child just celebrate a milestone? Did they just get the lead in the school play or hit the home run in the baseball game? These are really easy messages to be personable and to be able to get to your clients to know them even better and a personal relationship. So it's not just about the dollars and cents and the plan. Now it's about really evoking emotion and gaining information from them. One of the things that you can also do is really target these individuals that you want to reach very effectively. You can target based on titles, industries, lookalikes, which means can you identify more individuals that you already are doing business with? There's ways to kind of mine your data to be able to find more individuals. You can certainly do this through a meta campaign, but we're talking about LinkedIn right now. Personalize your outtouch through marketing. Many of you may or may not have LinkedIn Navigator. It is a wonderful way to identify individuals that may have a certain job title, maybe a certain industry, may have things in common. But I really want to encourage you, don't just send a blind email like you would normally as, hey, I bought a list. But do your research. What is in common? Are they alumni of yours at the same school? Did your children go to the same school? Are you in the same community, same association? Are you following the same individuals? Right there, you'll have an instant connection versus what, frankly, a cold nurture email or an email soliciting business probably won't get you that same type of insights.
Yeah, and Cary, the other tip that I would share with this, especially on the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, this is a great way to build your COI network. So referring back to a tip we had a couple ago with building your centers of influence, this is a great one if you say, hey, I don't have an estate planning attorney in my network, to go in and kind of filter by the estate planning attorneys within 10 miles of my office, and maybe you have a couple other criteria, and start to narrow down that list. And maybe you want to reach out to a few here, again, like what Cary said, even personalize those messages and start to develop that network. But this is a great one, not only for prospecting, but building that COI network. And on the prospecting side too, like Cary said, you can get very specific on these, because some advisors I know, hey, I want to go after and I want to look at this business and I'd love to work with the whole leadership team there or certain titles within that company, because I know they've got things going on in that company where there's going to be a lot of people made available soon that I could work with in my target market. Or there's certain titles in general around your region that you want to work with. So this can be a very powerful tool, but it's much different than on the marketing side where you're just going to run ads on Facebook and LinkedIn. The more personal and individual outreach on LinkedIn, the better, is where we see that the most effective.
Matt, as we're winding down, I see time is getting short. Certainly want to be respectful. Just wanted to kind of explain that Matt and I work at C2P, and I lead the agency efforts. We work with financial advisors, and all of this is really in practice. And I want to really kind of tell you, understand who you are, understand what niche you serve, and how you are different from the other many advisors that I see on this call today. Make sure you have your own story and make sure that permeates in your emails, in your webinars, and direct mail, websites, et cetera. So be true to who you are. And things that we really normally focus on is making sure you have a marketing plan. Matt talked about how few financial advisors and small businesses have marketing plans. Engage in social media. Make sure your website is continually being enhanced in terms of SEO and really who do you serve it. And use everything as lead generation. So certainly we can help you with many of these things if you are with C2P, and we have a passion for helping financial advisors, something I've been doing for probably the last 15 plus years.
Great. Thank you, Cary. And, as we mentioned throughout the presentation, some of these tools that we want to make sure are available to you, whether you decide to end up working with us or not, we want to make sure we're providing that value. So you book that call. We're going to make sure that you have the marketing and sales tracker to help with those efforts, that you have the event planner. If nothing else, maybe these help springboard to get you started and you kind of incorporate what's in here into the tools you're already using. But please go ahead, book that call, and start leveraging these tools at your organization today.
All right. Thank you so much, Matt and Cary. As a quick reminder before we end for today, if you book a call with us, we will send you those 3 exclusive deliverables. Again, the event planner checklist, the marketing and sales tracker, and the 11 digital marketing tips guide. Do not forget, our full service in-house marketing agency is just one of the components that we offer at C2P, along with the Rainmaker curriculum. Again, that is implementing a scalable approach to planning with the bucket plan, attracting and winning quality clients, the tax trilogy, and then by developing the next generation of your firm, giving you more freedom, more time, and more leverage is our teamwork movement program. So to land the plane today, if you are a high-performing advisor and you are serious about growth, and the following describes you, I'd say it's time for us to have an initial call. You have the drive to add up to 25 million in net new assets annually. That's what our advisory offices and model offices are doing. You're excited about implementing a proven approach, not needing to reinvent the wheel. And then finally, you're open to big changes in exchange for transformative results. Schedule a 20-minute complimentary call with myself or my team. Go to c2pe.info/gap. Thank you for your time today. Looking forward to speaking with you soon, and we'll see you there. Bye-bye.